Hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. Welcome to IFYL Inspirations for Your Life. I'm so happy that you decided to join me on a Tuesday afternoon. It's June 11th, 2024, and it's just about 10 minutes to 4. Whether you're with me today at that time or whether you're with me at 10 to 4 in the morning, or whether it's 12 noon or 12 a.m. or maybe even 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. if it's a little bit later. Thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate you making the time to spend with me today. And we're trying our times all around the clock, not at 3 in the morning, but we are trying the morning. We're doing afternoons, we're doing evenings, and we're just seeing what works. And it seems like more people like it when we put the show off earlier in the day than putting it later in the day. So let me know your thoughts about that as well. Do be sure to check out my hat. It's a QR code there. You can go to believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. Of course, you can catch us streaming on lots of great platforms. Be sure to like us on TikTok. Really do important that you do that so we can eventually stream there. Facebook has a whole bunch of new rules. So if you're having trouble finding us there, you can find us lots of different places. Just go to believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. And you can always catch the replay, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So the master topic, ladies and gentlemen, for the whole week, in case you are wondering, it's understanding how our body relates and interacts with the environment. We're on series 3, which means we're well into the third year, and we're on basically the 24th show, and we're on the 4th episode. Now, today's granular topic, in case you guys are wondering, it's understanding how we smell. Now, this might sound a little crazy, but there's a truth in this, all right? So let's start out with the fact of what smelling is. So smelling is one of the 5 senses. And, you might be saying, John, I have no clue how we smell. I just smell and that's it. Well, there's a process to it, just like we talked about seeing, we talked about hearing. Well, there's a process to smelling too. The smelling process is known as the olfactory system, and it's part of our sense of smell capabilities. And basically, again, it's one of our 5 senses which help us to navigate the world around us. Now, once detected by sensory organs, nerve signals are sent to the brain where the signals are processed, and our sense of smell is closely linked to our sense of taste. We'll get into taste another day, as they both rely on the perception of molecules. And so that's where we get the sense of smell, and allows us to detect the flavor in foods. It also gives us a powerful ability to taste things and learn about other things in our environment, which we'll talk about in a minute. So here's what happens. You have a nasal cavity, right, which is our nose. And in our nasal cavity, we have the olfactory, basically, nerves, which are, I don't know if you guys can see, it's right kind of at the top of the brim, just a little bit down the brim, maybe a couple inches. It's called the olfactory nerves. And so the olfactory nerves is there, and then there is the, which is right below the crim bone plate, which is right over, right around, right up about right. Your nose, it's kind of like, it's right about there. And then you've got the olfactory bulb, which is basically the top of where all the nerve endings come out for smell. And then we've got the olfactory tract. And so the tract takes those signals and takes them to the brain. So the nose opening contains the nasal passage that allows the air to flow in to the cavity. And that's part of our respiratory system, guys, in case you didn't know. The nasal cavity is divided by the nasal septum into the left and the right passages. And they're lined with mucus, in case you guys are wondering. That's why you guys always blow your nose so much. The olfactory epithelium is a special type of epithelial tissue in the nasal cavity that contains olfactory nerve cells and receptor nerve cells. And these send impulses to the olfactory bulb, which is right at the top. The cibriform plate is a porous part of the ethmoid bone, which separates the nasal cavity from the brain. The olfactory nerve fibers extend through the holes in the cribriform to reach the olfactory nerve. So that is really, really cool how that happens. And so the olfactory nerve, it's actually the first cranial nerve involved in olfaction. And olfaction nerve fibers extend from the mucous membrane through the cribriform cribriform plate to the olfactory bulb. The olfactory bulb is a bulb-shaped structure in the forebrain where olfactory nerves end and the olfactory tract begins. It's a band of nerve fibers that extend from each olfactory bulb to the olfactory cortex of the brain and the area of the cerebral cortex, and that process information that odors receive to the nerve cells. So is it like hearing? Well, it's different. Basically, what happens is when the let's say the particles, reach this part of our of the nasal cavity there, they're able to take that information and then it gets transmitted up to the brain, and we're able to process that as a smell. Now that sounds like a lot of work, and it is. Our sense of smell is an amazing gift that we've been giving. So now we know a little bit about how our smell works. So let's discover for just a moment. I think this is probably an important thing to talk about. The connection. Because again, our nose is connected to our system, which is the respiratory system. Our nose is responsible for us being able to breathe, right? We could take a breath in our nose, out through our mouth, in through our nose, out through our mouth. Now, a lot of people who are stressed will often breathe in from their mouth really quick, like they'll do like this, right? And the breathing won't be so great. So you want to take slow, deep breaths in the nose, hold it, and out through the mouth. In the nose, out through the mouth. In the nose, out through the mouth. And that helps us get more oxygen into the body, and definitely helps us to feel a lot better. So the power of scent, let's delve into why it's often our instinctual response to detecting danger. So maybe you're, I don't know, maybe you're at a party and suddenly, the red light goes off in your head like, oh, wait a minute, what's that smell? Something burning? And immediately, there's music really loud, and you discover that somebody burnt a pizza in the oven. You go walk over like, oh, gee, man, it's like, oh, that smoke, I could smell something's burning, right? Other smells that we are aware of, right? It can tell us to get out of there, to respond to danger. So what other danger smells, I should say smells, can our nose smell? Say that 5, 10 times fast. I know that's not an easy thing to do. So you can get smells from certain types of medicines that you might not like. There are lots of things that you can smell. You can smell maybe an odor, like it could be something like body odor, BO, and you can smell air, right? So you can smell the freshness, right? But the thing is, our nose is let's say, an organ that allows us to respond to stimuli. So we could think about something like burning, like we could smell smoke. We could smell chemicals. People often ask me this, hey, John, can we still smell gas? And what does a gas leak smell like? And what do you do if you detect one? I know this is going a little off the path here, but I think it's important. So a gas leak. A gas leak is when natural gas leaks from a pipeline and then into an area where it shouldn't be. If you ever smelled rotten eggs before, well, then they actually have a sulfur smell. And this is possible for you. Maybe you get it from your HVAC unit if it's gas fed. A rotten egg smells bad, and this is a clear indication that you've got a natural gas leak somewhere. Although most of the time, natural gas is odorless, so it's hard. This is why things like carbon monoxide detectors are really, really important. But if you do smell gas, the first thing you should do is call, yes, call 911. Get out, right? Maybe you've got odd smells coming from your oven. Um, you know, food doesn't smell right. Maybe it smells rotten. And people ask me, John, what do I do if I have a gas leak? If you have a gas leak, it's really easy. Don't use any open flames or electrical devices. That is number one. And it's best to evacuate the area and dial 911. But here's a little trick for you. Do not call 911, whether it's a fire, whether it's a gas leak or anything like that, or a chemical issue. You don't want to dial 911 while you're there. Do you know why? Because some phones might have been dropped and they might have broke the factory seal. And if just a tiny bit of electric charge gets out, you could have an explosion. So make sure you are far away from your property or the said demised place before you pick up the phone and dial 911. It's okay to take the phone with you, but don't call 911 from a phone that is within the location close to the fire or the smell of the bad situation. If you dial 911 for some other reason, that's fine. Somebody's hurt or things like that. But when there is a situation like chemical, or there's another situation like there could be a problem, then you have to realize that you don't dial 911 until you're actually out somewhere. That's really, really important. If you don't understand that, then I think you might be challenged with what actually is going on. So we can just take this advice that our nose is here to guide us. All right. It's really a good guidance tool. You know, our nose can also help us trigger memories. This is really cool. How many of you have ever gone to a house that's maybe for sale with a realtor, and you go in the house and not even 2 or 3 seconds, you're like, oh my gosh, is that fresh homemade apple pie? It is. We actually just baked some before. Would you like a slice? And maybe all these great feelings go through your head, like when you were a kid, or like, oh my gosh, I just love the smell of apple pie. Apple pie with cinnamon, or maybe there's another smell, like maybe it's pumpkin pie. Oh my gosh, is that pumpkin pie? And so when you get certain smells, this is something marketers have actually been grabbing a hold of. And it's pretty cool, ladies and gentlemen, because marketers are now using scents. Now, you might say, John, that sounds crazy. No, it's not. So what companies use, let's say, smell to get your attention? Does anybody know? Well, there's a really, really big one that's been out there for a long time, and they have aromas and things like this. What do you think the name of the company is? So they make scents to put in your business for marketing. Scent Air. Okay, so Scent Air, you may or may not know who Scent Air is. So Scent Air is a marketing type company for business offices. Scent marketing is a very powerful tool and helps offices and corporate buildings create an atmosphere that drives productivity. Offices can maybe be stale or uninspiring, but when you have Scent Air in there, it helps. Now, you don't necessarily need to get Scent Air. You can, go to any place. You can get cinnamon. You can get lots of different things. So for your home, they have different bundles, like they have, different air fragrances. You might know some different scents that they have in the store, like I think there's some Airwick. You probably know Airwick plugins. So Airwick plugins definitely do the job, and they're only like about $26, and you get like 2 warmers, and you get some refills, and they're really pretty nice. Their smells of fresh laundry, essential oils, and lots of different things. So A typical air wick thing costs about $26.49. You can get Hawaii, you can get lavender, you can get vanilla and pink papaya. And it's very comforting when you can smell this. So you're probably asking me, well, how much does it cost to get a scent air system? Well, the way scent air works is they work on a subscription base. They also work for businesses. So again, they have it for your home. And the home system is not as robust as the business system. So the home system, they have something at home. They have something called the Whisper Home, and then they have the Whisper Pro. And basically what they are is these little containers. So for example, the Whisper Home, which you can get for your home, is $200, okay? It's an ultra quiet fragrance diffuser for spaces up to 800 square feet, okay? That is the Whisper Home. Then they have the Whisper Pro model. The Whisper Pro is $350, and that can cover spaces of 1,000 square feet. And it provides about enough for 1 month of fragrance. And you can even set, like, you know, when the diffuse should come out with the scent, how, you know, the different types. You can make it stronger or less strong. In the business world, okay, they've got more in the business world. They've got the Whisper for home. That they've got the different series. So they have basically a lot more. How can I say, a lot more options. So you can get coconut. I mean, there are so many different flavors. You can have a chocolate. There's just so much that you can actually have. And these scents are only available, let's say the more wider scents are only available to the business customers. So that is the difference between the home and this. So they have things like white tea and fig, vanilla bourbon, fresh linen. They have a seaside driftwood, a mocha cream, a fresh linen scent, hot apple pie, island breeze, ocean scent, sugar cookie scent, waffle cone scent. You've got agave. You've got Asian gardens. You got apple and oaks. You've got some amazing things that they have, and they have pages and pages of these. You have green tea. You have hot apple pie scent. Just the apple pies is baking. You have lemon. You have lavender. I mean, there's so many different kinds. But in the business, they have even more. Waffle cone is an interesting one. So scents obviously cause our body to respond. But you know what they also do? They also create a condition. Now, if you smelled apple pie, the first time you've ever had apple pie, I bet it was a very pleasant experience. I bet you were home with your family, or maybe you were out somewhere and it was at a meal, maybe it was at Thanksgiving or wherever it was, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is like delicious, right? Well, the idea is that when a company reintroduces, or anyone reintroduces, a scent that you've already had, and hopefully you've had a positive experience with it, it's going to bring those positive experiences back to you again, right? So one of the resorts that use scent air, I'm not sure if you guys know, but it's Disney. So yes, the Grand Floridian in Florida uses scent air scents. And people always say, you know, what scent is used at the Grand Floridian? The scent there, they have all different scents for different things, right? So the Disney Grand Floridian Spa is part of the Disney Resorts collection, and you could throw a cucumber and mint or frosé and mix from Beaches and Pool Bar and Grill, and you'll be pretty happy, right? There are smells about Walt Disney World, like smells from the rides like the Pirates of the Caribbean, Soaring Around the World, right? or resorts like Disney's Beach Club. Um, Unfortunately, Disney is very tight lipped on what the scents exactly are. However, for you, there are some great ways to figure this out. If didn't get a chance to swing in the Bass and White on the second floor of the lobby near the monorail during your stay, uh, you have to pay them a visit the next time and try that out. So the location and the start of Disney, like the Disney Springs, it smells like the Grand Floridian lobby is based on green clover aloe. You can search for companies that have that. So it's pretty easy. There's Enchanted Rose. So there's a lot of different things. And I think the most important thing is that when you go to Disney or any resort or even any restaurant, you have this amazing feeling because of something there. You know, casinos, I don't know if you guys know this, casinos, yes, casinos use this marketing magic. And you might say, gee, what scent do casinos, pipe into the gambling rooms? Well, there are lots of scents they use. Some of them even sell the scents. But the thing about these scents is they will either make you relax in some environments, but in the casino, they do something a little bit different. They have a vibe that doesn't relax you, but keeps you awake because maybe you're playing and it's late at night and you just want to go to bed. Well, this scent just kind of like reinvigorates you to stay awake. That's pretty powerful, right? So imagine people coming into your shop, whether it's a flower shop or, well, you probably don't need scents in a flower shop because you have beautiful flowers, or maybe you're some type of a repair business, and people come in and maybe you have this apple scent just coming in. That's going to create a brand for you. Like, oh my gosh, I love going to that repair shop. They have this amazing set of apples. And you know what would really top it all off? If you were to someday bring out real apples and let them taste them. I mean, that would just really be, the bee's knees, right? So our nose is very powerful. Now, the thing about our nose is that sometimes we smell things we don't like body odor, maybe a medicine we don't like the smell of. Maybe it's a chemical that's very strong, right? Like ammonia. Unfortunately, if we happen to come in contact with that, we want to be careful, which we'll talk more about nose protection in a minute, but we want to understand that certain scents make us feel really, really good and happy. Another sense, kind of like, they put us in the doldrums. Why? Because psychologically, the first time that you, let's say, smelled that, your body was conditioned to go into a state. Now, hopefully, it was a positive state. But if it wasn't, and you keep smelling that, well, chances are that you're not going to feel great. You're probably going to feel just like the same time. Maybe, for example, you might have smelled apple. It must be great. But maybe that same scent with apple, you were at a restaurant and now you smell apple and you don't like it anymore. Why? Maybe you're with your boyfriend and girlfriend and you smell it, and that was the night that they broke up with you or you broke up with them, and it left a bad taste in your mouth. We'll talk about taste another time, but understanding smell is so very powerful. Now, the question you might be asking is, how much are these Sentair cartridges? Well, they range depending on what you want. They charge for different scents, and so their whole idea is that you can just get these scents right away. So, for example, Seaside Driftwood scent is $28.60. Okay, just looking at some other ones that they have, it looks like right now all the scents are pretty stable. So this one, okay, so Seawood Driftwood, Seaside Driftwood scent has a couple different parts to it. There's a fresh marine green tea. There's a honeysuckle jasmine, and then there's a cashmere musk. So there's a blend of different scents, which I think is a really, 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 really cool. But there are a lot of different scents. You can even go and get samples. They have a sample set. So you can have a bliss sample set. They start the sample sets at like $10, and you get like 1, 2, 3. You get like 5 samples, so you can just smell, those scents. They have bundles, so you can buy a bundle. All right. So for example, you can buy a bundle, which is a Whisper Pro, and you can get 4 scents with it already. So that'd be like 4 months. You can get white tea and thyme, 4-piece bundle, $75. They have you can build your own. You can do they have candle bundles and things like that. So not terribly crazy. So what's it going to cost you? It looks like it's probably going to cost you around, for a 4-piece set, you're basically getting them, you're getting them pretty cheap. Because if you're looking at $75, that's what basically this bundle is, and you divide $75. Incidentally, we're not getting anything back from this company. They haven't told us to mention it to you. I just thought it was interesting to share. Coming down to $18.75 as opposed to like $28. So you are saving some money off this, and I think it's pretty cool to understand what it is. Saving $9.25. And then they also have what they call the business scents. The business scents, and you probably are wondering, do the business scents cost more money? Yeah, they do cost more money. They have a whole catalog just for business. Okay. I mean, they have things like, they talk about, why you should have the product, and things like that. They talk about the different scent delivery systems. Like they have one that you can put up, that they have, it goes up, let's say, in the ceiling. They have some that are hotels, they're on the floor, but they look almost like a big tube that just kind of sits there, so they're not too obtuse. There is invisible high performance systems, best for scenting large spaces. So they have that technology that covers 3,000 square feet. Then they have the Scent Air Direct, which is similar to the Scent Air Stream. Then they have the Scent Air Breeze, which does 2,000 square feet. Then they have the Scent Air Whisper, which does 2,000 square feet. Then the Scent Air Whisper Pro does 1,000. Then they have the Scent Air Splash, which does 500 square feet. But the one that I really like the most is a Scent Air Stream, the invisible high performance system for large spaces. It uses advanced diffusion technology to release fragrances through existing HVAC systems. It's customizable with schedules and things like that. So basically what you're doing is all these systems have the ability to set things like, how often, the frequency, when you want to start diffusing. And then that's pretty cool. So you could start like, when it should mist, basically how, what the pause time should be between the mists. So you want to do it just when you're open, or maybe just do it just before you're open, so the place smells really, really nice. It's pretty cool. And the ones that go in your air conditioner, heating system, I think is pretty cool. But again, these are for businesses, and you're going to pay a little money. I could tell you, a friend of mine that I knew a long time ago, actually, he sold the fragrances to the casinos. Now, it wasn't Scent Air, it was another company. And he told me, I think at the time, he told me they were spending like $15,000, $20,000 a month to pipe in this scent, which had an ingredient in it that kept you awake. I mean, that thing kind of blows my mind. So scents are very powerful. There's another story I want to share with you about scents. Is I had gotten not a mailing, but I was somewhere, I don't know, many, many years ago, and I was at a convention, and they handed out this thing, and it was a marketing company that was doing scent marketing, and they said, here, take one. And it was a little square, maybe about this big, and it kind of had a little like bubble in it, like it, because kind of like it was like, because the scent was in it. So you would squeeze it, and there would be a hole, and there was a dog on it, and you'd smell like mint. And it was basically holding this, what do you call it, like this peppermint. So the hole was right by the peppermint, and you squeezed it. And that was an amazing thing. Now, Scent Air is not much of a Scent Air, but I'm talking about any kind of marketing scent. You have to realize that some people might find that offensive. I find Scent Air type technologies, not Scent Air, the company, but the whole concept of, changing the space with a scent, it can be a little bit obtrusive for people. I mean, what happens if you wear a cologne and it's too much for people, right? That could be a problem. But there are many different, I'm going to say, automatic fragrance. That's basically what they call them, fragrance systems. So you might be familiar with the one I talked about before, like, there was the Airwick. There's their other air freshening machines. So Scentair is not the only one, but they're actually used by Disney. And so some of the smaller ones will do 600 square feet. There's one that does 1,800 square, and there's a few companies that do them. There's some that even have interactive scenting kiosks, to the tune of like a little over $12,000. Has a kiosk and it has a scent piece built into it. So there's lots of the things, like there's Air Delights, and those are more the small ones. You probably see them in bathrooms and things like that. You probably know the plug-in ones that you see, a lot of different places. Of course, you can go on different websites and find them, but they're basically air fragrance machines. And you choose what you want, you put it in there, and they do diffusing. That's how it works. A lot of them now will work with the app, like even Scentair's does. They have one here by Aroma, and it actually, their unit costs about $149, and it's a technology that you can use to cover 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. And so, this is what's driving people. Because if you go somewhere, and you're on the phone, people put music so you can be calm, right? And so you can forget how much time you're holding. People do scents the same reason, because it can actually distract you from what you're doing and just enjoy the scent, like, take a little mini vacation. Maybe there was a scent you had when you first fell in love. If you did, that scent could be a great one as long as you're still with that person. Maybe there's a scent. Maybe you like to go in the forest. You like to hike or something like that. What do you think are the most, let's say, popular scents for business marketing? You guys know, what are the most popular business scents for business marketing? Well, I think the biggest one has to be that apple pie. When we could smell something that we can almost taste, our body doesn't know that there's no apple pie, but we're just like, oh my gosh, there's got to be apple pie. Your mouth might even start to salivate. All right, I could talk about that for hours. So the next thing I want to talk about with you guys is nose protection. So first of all, we should not, if we're around any kind of caustic chemicals, we should not inhale them. That is very important that we do not inhale them. When we smell, we want to make sure that we smell gently. We don't want to do. So if we're outside and we're trying to smell air, take a deep breath. That's perfectly fine. But don't be around something and try to do don't do that, like around cookies. That'll like make you sick. So you could take a small whiff, like that. That's fine. And you're even going to smell it around. Things that are caustic, you're generally going to smell them, pretty far away as well as close. So the smell is pretty interesting. And I think most people don't realize how much power smell has. It's amazing. And so if you knew how many times that you actually changed your decision because of something you smell, you would turn over. So 75% of our emotions, by many studies, have shown they're triggered by smell. And many of these, we're hoping, are linked to pleasure, well-being, emotion, and even memory. And it's handy if you want to get somebody to buy a product or service from you. Smell gets bored easily sometimes. So if you enter a bakery or a florist, you're very aware of the aroma, but it gets to be annoying because every time you walk, it's like, oh, I'm always smelling that. Like, I smell everything. One thing you may not know is a woman's sense of smell is a little bit stronger than a man's. A sense of smell will peak when you're in your late teens and might decline as you get older. So you can smell things better in spring and summertime. Humans have 5 to 6 million odor detecting cells, but that's nothing compared to the animal kingdom. Rabbits have 100 million and dogs have 220 million. That's pretty amazing, right? They can always follow the scent. Um, perspiration could be the big thing for crime busting in the future. Israeli chemists say that the food we eat, the drugs we take, gender, and even the state of mind all combine to make each person's sweat unique. So when we think about CCTV and we're thinking about fingerprints, we're now talking about fingerprints, not just a fingerprint, but the fingerprint and the associated chemical properties that are generated with it based on the person. Okay. Human sweat is pretty amazing. Humans all have a favorite smell, something that makes them feel good. Maybe there's a cologne that you like or a perfume. It's not enough now to go to a museum to see the past come to life. You have to smell the past, right? That's amazing. The human brain can process about 10,000 smells in an area. About the size of a Post-it snap. That's pretty wild. The smell of a new leather jacket. How about the smell of a new car, right? Smell the coffee, right, is something that we always tell people, but it's true. Your sense of smell accounts for 75 to 95% of the impact a flavor has without you even knowing it. Sports use the power of smell during baseball World Series games, like the 2009 Tampa Bay Rays. They ditched the stale hot dogs and beer in favor of a scent dubbed citrus burst to food the stadium with flood. People who cannot smell have a condition called anosmia, which means they can't smell. All the world, hotel chains, different businesses, retail stores, they're going at it. They go for a thing called like white tea, while many 4-point ventures like cinnamon. Montcalm in the United Kingdom uses that, which is a pretty cool one. And the way we smell plays a large part in who we are attracted to. In a study selection of women, wore more men's t-shirts and were more attracted to the body scent of the men who had different type of gene selection. Pretty interesting, right? A bunch of flowers might be something, but imagine being able to have a scent that creates this individuality. All right, so we want to protect our nose. So this is where I want to end. How do we protect our nose? So one thing I want to tell you is we should always cover our nose, like especially if we're sneezing, so we don't get germs all over everywhere. We want to be very careful because if we, touch something and then we touch our nose or our face, germs can go in through the nose. They can go in through the eyes. So when you touch someone or something, always make sure you wash your hands because you could be spreading germs. But how do you take care of your nose? I mean, your nose pretty much takes care of itself. Do you need sprays? Not really. You might be allergic, so just be aware of that. You shouldn't smoke, and you definitely shouldn't smoke anywhere, and your nose does not like smoke. It can hurt your nose just as well as it can hurt the rest of your body. So a healthy nose means happy breathing, and happy breathing, guess what? Means a happy life. Of course, if you're in any kind of sports, make sure you wear protection so you don't damage your nose. If you blow your nose, good way to blow your nose is to take a tissue, put it under, and just blow, right? So typically what you'll do is you'll take the tissue and you'll do that. Some people will do this, but you don't need to. All you need to do is just, your nose is also key, as we talked about yesterday, for helping you to relieve pressure when you're on the plane, right? So you turn your head and you pinch your nose lightly and swallow. You're going to feel that. So when we can breathe well and when our respiratory system is working well, we're happier. Life goes better for us. So know that there are certain smells in the environment that you might like and some that you may not like. But also understand that your nose has the power to decide whether your day is going to be a good one or not. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode today, understanding how we smell. I'm breaking apart everything this week into the, let's say, the topology of understanding how our body relates and interacts with the environment. And understanding how we smell, ladies and gentlemen, is very key. And you wouldn't realize how much smell is affecting you. If you don't believe me, take a notebook tomorrow and write down some smells. Or better yet, go get yourself an apple pie. Or right now, think of the best food you've had. And you know, I think what we're eventually going to see, it's not out yet, but I think we're eventually going to see recorders that record smell. I think we'll see that sometime in the future. You know, being able, we can actually right now, we can create scents based on certain molecules. But what if you could go somewhere, capture a smell, and then replay it back? I don't know, that would be pretty cool, right? All right, guys, you know who I am by now. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's always a privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you, fantastic people. And I hope that you guys keep enjoying my wonderful content. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow with a brand new episode. But don't forget to check believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to catch you guys tomorrow. So have yourself a fantastic rest of your evening.